TvGrace presents the inexpressible words of God, the gospel of grace, on the lips of Jesus Christ man. Abba, Father.
We are the only ministry in the world that believes as we believe. That is a detail. And so look, we are opposed to Catholics, the Pentecostals, the Evangelicals, the Baptists, a Mormones. In other words, we are like do you know that salmon swim against the current? The other fish go like that, right? And the salmon, they are against it. Well, we are salmons. We are like salmon. Now, pay attention because I want you to understand. I don't like anyone to be with me to please me. You must be there out of conviction. And then, what happens? Will two people walk if they disagree? So I have to have a procedure to deal with. For example, my brother is a pastor in the system and I cannot talk about religion with him. And with many people I know neither, because I am not a repugnant or antisocial person. I am an educated person in terms of treating people well, respecting them. Hey, but when it comes down to it, neither father nor mother matter. I can't do it there because this is my life. I was born for this. And so I can't say no to that. And now, there is a little detail that I would like all of you to read with me. To say rightly, we disagree. Let's turn to Galatians chapter 2, verse 7, and you read it with me, and either you agree with me or you disagree with me. Galatians chapter 2, verse 7. Verse 7. Look at that verse, it says there. But on the contrary, read with me, I receive that you understand me. And I receive that you have the spirit of wisdom. And I receive that if you do not know how to read, you understand the language. But I think we all know how to read here. Now, if after you read you do not understand, I'm going to get mad at you. No, I'm kidding. Well, it goes like this. But on the contrary, when they saw that the gospel had been committed to me. Say gospel. Of what? Uncircumcision. As to Peter, which? As to Peter, which one? How many gospels are there? There's the one about the uncircumcision. And there's the one about circumcision. Well, let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, listen to me well. All the religions of the world preach the gospel of Peter. Which one? The gospel of circumcision. Now, Paul's was never preached. For what reason? For what reason? And you know what the reason is? Jesus Christ himself said, I'll keep this one. That one I want to preach it myself. So, look how wise God is. So that he could preach it, he had to codify it so that all theologians would not understand it for 2,000 years. Well, look, myself, before I received the call, before Jesus Christ was integrated into my spirit as it happened to me, I read all this and I didn't understand it. That's why when someone misunderstands me, I say, he is like I was. Listen to me. I want to appeal to your clean understanding. And I speak because there are also many first-time visitors here. He who thinks he already knows this, let him join to my preaching. But the gospel that Peter preached was until Christ died. After Christ dies, Peter could not longer preach. Do you understand me? In other words, Peter could not continue preaching because the gospel that Peter preached is a gospel of works, a gospel of baptisms, the Lord's Supper, which is called the Passover, Jewish observations, fasting, vigils. What all churches do today that call it good, that's the gospel of Peter. Forgive me. And all those churches are right to do what they are doing, rebuking demons, calling people sinners. They are right according to the gospel of Peter. Now, according to Paul's gospel, no. Because the gospel of Peter clearly says it in Hebrews chapter 9, verse 9. Look what it says in Hebrews chapter 9, verse 9. So that you understand what that gospel is, so that you will no longer go to that church where you used to go. Don't go. Don't be a fool, as they say in Puerto Rico. Don't waste your time going to church if you are being sold a pig in a poke. You are being deceived. Look, it's like if you go to a doctor and he prescribes you a medicine and the nurse who works with him tells you, that medicine expired about 10 years ago. You say, what do you mean? In other words, I am going to take it. No, that antibiotic doesn't work anymore. Now, this one I'm about to mention expired 2,000 years ago. And they are still selling it as a good medicine. Look what Peter preached. Which was a figure for the time then present for that time. What was done? In which were offered both gifts and sacrifices that could not make him that did the service perfect as pertaining to the conscience. The one who practices that cult, concerned only with foods and drinks, various washings, and fleshly ordinances like do not dress like this, don't wear jewelry, don't wear makeup, things of the flesh and certain Jewish symbols of those times. Now look what it says there, imposed. It was okay that, for that time. Imposed until the time of what? Next verse. But Christ having appeared. When Christ is present, then you have to abandon Peter. Look, recently a religious leader in Miami told me, he was given a newspaper. Have you received that newspaper? He said, may I call you Jose Luis? Relax. Because we were having dinner together, right? He tells me, Jose Luis, do you believe what it says there that Pedro was bad? And I said, bad? No, he is evil. Why is he very bad? Because Christ told Peter, do not go the way of the Gentiles. Jesus Christ told him so. Jesus of Nazareth. He said to him, look, don't take this to the Gentiles. And what did Peter do? Then Peter is disobedient because he brought us a gospel that was not reserved for us. And not only did he do that, but because Paul was a hindrance to him, he and the others killed him. We have evidence that the 11 apostles killed Paul. I mean, they didn't kill him, they sent him to kill. As mafiosi do, they say, I didn't do it. It was the one I sent. So, based on that, the gospel that is preached today in all the churches, in fact, I am respecting it by calling it a church because those are not churches. Those are Judaizing buildings. They are not Christians, forgive me. The Baptists, the Pentecostals, they cannot be Christians. Because for you to be a Christian, you have to preach the gospel of uncircumcision. Uncircumcision. Forgive me, we can't give in on that aspect. It can't be done. You can't give in on that. If you have a child that is dying and you find the medicine to heal it, you fight for that medicine. If you do not give it to him, he dies. Well, your spirit, look. You are spirit. Your spirit. For your spirit to revive and be truly born again. The only gospel that is there to bring you to life and awaken you is the gospel of uncircumcision. We have a lawyer in Barranquilla, and then he started to listen to me. And this little part that I am talking about, he understood it. And then he called another friend from the same church, another lawyer, and said to him, "Hey, come here, listen to that one they say is a fake, listen to him." And he also understood, hey, look, but what do we do here in our church? Well, and it looks like the pastor found out. And the pastor passed by the lawyer's house and says to him, "Tell me, are you listening to Jose Luis?" And he says, "Sure, pastor, why should I lie to you?" And then, for you know that he is a false prophet, don't you? And he tells him, "Well, if he is a false prophet, answer me first these things." He showed the verse to him. "Tell me something. Peter was given the one of circumcision, wasn't he, pastor?" And the pastor said, "Yes." "And to Paul the uncircumcision, which of the two gospels should we as the Gentiles follow?" And the pastor said to him, "Paul's, that of the uncircumcision." In other words, which one do you preach? It is a very big church in Barranquilla. What is it called? That church is very large and they are important leaders there. And so he says, "Well, we preach a little bit of both." You can't mix that. If you mix that, it produces a short circuit in your head. You see the devil in the soup. And then, as he is a lawyer, he is a man who studies law. So he is firm when he has a conversation. He said, "Wait a minute, hold on, pastor. In other words, you tell me that our gospel is the gospel of uncircumcision, but you preach the gospel of circumcision." And he replied, "What happens is that if I say that, I am going to be removed from the council." No, but that's not the point. The problem is that my kids are there, pastor. My wife is there. There's my family. Do you mean that for your belly, for your salary, you know this is the truth and do not preach it? I'm not coming back. And he never came back. Well, it has been an honor to be with you. Want more? Well, there is nothing more to talk about. We have spoken here 2,000 years of history in a second. Oh? Well, I'm going to stay a little longer. Do you know what will happen in this ministry? Every time I say "I," but it's not Jose Luis, it's the Spirit self. We are multiplying. Do you know why? Because people who are knowledgeable say, "This man is right." You may be seated. Even my brother who doesn't believe in what I teach. But as brothers, we see each other from time to time and chat, right? I'm looking for a funny way to talk to him. "Carlitos, how are you?" And he says to me, "Hey, Jose Luis, I don't know. with the nonsense you preach, how you have such a large and growing empire. So he told me, with the nonsense, and I looked at him with affection, and I said, Carlos, what happens is that my nonsense makes people happy. Let's explain a little more. In the same way, easy to understand. She said that the teaching I have given her has helped her to understand her true identity. She said that, didn't she? Now, if you are asked, what is your true identity? We can say many things. But I want to use a verse for you to use that it is much easier, more bearable for people so that it is easier for them to understand. Hebrews 2:14. Let's see. Hebrews chapter 2 verse 14. Oh, and for the people here, the visitors, I will test you. I am going to give everyone a test. So listen well. Because if you fail me, I give you an F, I disqualify you, and you have to go, you have to get out of here. This test goes to everybody. Let's see. Read with me. Oh, there too, look. Therefore, listen to me. Hello, hey. Therefore, since the children share in what? In other words, who partook of flesh and blood? The children. But did he call them children without having flesh and blood? They were children without bodies. In other words, they existed. But then they existed. How? In a body of what? Spirit. In an angelic body. And then they were with God there in paradise. And then what happens? God gave an order. I need to send to earth a part of my angels. I want to form the planet Earth. Listen to me well, because this is a beautiful theatrical story. This is a beautiful thing that is God in paradise with all His angels. But then He wanted to take over planet Earth for a very special project, part of which is about to be fulfilled soon. And then He said, I'm going to send angels to the earth, but I need them to have flesh and blood. That's what it says there. Because it says there that they participated, but how so they participated? For God chose His angels and sent them to the earth. He put flesh and blood on them. The first mold had to be made by Him because there were no women. Hey, how important women are. The first mold He took from the dust of the earth. He formed a doll and picked up and blew. Look what He did. He took an angel and put it in his mouth. And at the moment the doll, but then the doll couldn't produce any more dolls. Then from the rib of the first doll, from that rib He made a woman so as not to be blowing anymore. But they themselves, when they get married and have their beautiful sexual relations in marriage, they enjoy it, and at the same time, that sowing produces them a baby. But they are what? They participated in what? They participated in what? So what did He do one day? He said, I have to go visit my children on earth. And He came several times. Came in Melchizedek, came in Moses, and in other veils more, and came in Jesus of Nazareth. And how did He come in Jesus of Nazareth? He said, if I dress as they are dressed, Adam sinned, so he harmed the race. Then he could no longer partake of flesh and blood through man's participation. So he had to say, well, I want to partake. He himself likewise also partook of the same. I want to partake of flesh and blood. But if Joseph has sexual relations with Mary, then I am another human being and I die. So by the work of my Spirit, I will come to earth, and Jesus of Nazareth was born. And Jesus of Nazareth partook of flesh and blood. Now, why did he partake of flesh and blood? What for? So that through death he could destroy the one who has the power of death. That is the devil. Then what happened to the devil? When was he destroyed? Hey, listen to me well. You know that if you listen to the gospel of circumcision, circumcision has the devil alive. Yet, now uncircumcision presents him destroyed. Second round, third round. Yes, I get your point. Hey, and you know that people say that I preach mysteries. This is a very easy thing. A man in Los Angeles, California told me, I would be happy to preach mysteries that no one had ever preached. Well, no one had preached it, but they are very easy because that's what you have to have: two fingers in front, eyes open to read and find out. It's easy, say it's easy. And light. Easy to carry. Well, that's right. Excuse me. Look what it says there. Since the children, they are the children. If you are not a child of God, you cannot. Now, who are these children? Let's read Romans 8:29. Romans 8 to see who those sons are. Let's see if you are there. And I hope that before you leave, if you find yourself there, you will say, quiet apostle, I understood. Easy. And come out of the closet. Look. What does verse 29 say? For those whom he foreknew. Who are those he foreknew? Are they not the same children? But when did he foreknew them? With or without a body? For they had not partaken of flesh and blood. For those whom he foreknew, he also predestined. Hey, do you know what my dad told me? My dad came in. Do you know what he told me? Because my dad goes to my brother's church. If my brother hears this preaching, he will say, you are talking about that I have to mention him because he is the only brother I have. And that's where my dad goes, I have to mention it, but Carlos is a beautiful person, cute. The only thing he doesn't know, you can be very pretty, but if you don't know, here it's not a matter of being cute, it's a matter of spirit. Hey! And then my brother, because he influences my dad. For example, I leave 3 CDs with my dad and my brother comes by and takes them. So that my dad doesn't listen. Because my brother says, if he listens to Jose Luis, he will convince him. But he took him the CDs, but he didn't take this. My dad at night, an angel told him, you are predestined. And he told me, he said, Daddy, he says daddy to me, that's another story. He said to me, Daddy, I heard a voice telling me that you are the one who has the truth. And I told him, be careful with Carlitos. And he told me, no, I'm not going to tell him anything yet. We have to leave him. For those whom he foreknew, he also predestined. Hear this now. To become conformed to the image of their shepherd. What did he predestine them for? That they might be made how? It means the image of you. Well, he who joins himself to the Lord, what? What happens is that your spirit and my spirit are the same. Made according to the image. Hey, go to the church where you used to go on Sunday. Don't want to go? Don't go. But if you go, go tell. To the shepherd, Pastor, do you know that I am just like Jesus Christ? I look just like him. Pastor, I am just as holy. Jesus Christ is holy. I am the same. Jesus Christ is good. Me too. Jesus Christ is mighty. I am the same. He is the winner. I am the same. You are the very image of his Son. That's what you were predestined for. The pastors are not going to understand that. Don't you see that they tell you, look, brothers, you have to fight, seek God. But me looking for God, I can no longer look for God. If I look for more, I get out of myself. They tell you to come to the front to pray. But how can I go to a platform if it is made of wood? I pray in the Spirit here. This is not holy. This is made of wood, all of it. What can be done here is a great party. We are the temples. Those are buildings. Now, at a Catholic church, when they pass the front, they cross themselves because they think that this is the temple. Because they are in circumcision. And he who is in circumcision is deceived. Because they deceive you, they don't understand. Can't you see they have a false gospel? They say that we are false, of course, because they do not understand. But the falsehood is theirs. And we pray and confess that the angels are going to continue to work until all these churches are emptied. Amen? Do you receive it? How nice. Look, the purpose of my coming to earth is to close all the churches of the world, all of them, so that the true church may exist where lives are predestined. Ephesians 1:4. According as he hath chosen us in him in 1950. When did he choose you? Before the foundation of the world, that we should be holy. In circumcision, they tell you that you have to cleanse and sanctify yourself to see if one day you will be spotless and wrinkle-free. In uncircumcision, that's it. Because it is not your holiness, it is His holiness in you. He's doing it in you, is not you doing in Him. Religion deals with the physical body. Uncircumcision deals with your spirit. Yes, all religions. You go to a church and you ask them, what are the rules for belonging to this church? Well, in this church, women are not allowed to wear clothes like that. In this church, men cannot do this. And they have to do this, and they have to be baptized in order to be members. Go through a committee, then the committee asks permission from before the foundation of the world to see if they will accept you. Look, it doesn't matter if you are a drug addict, if you have been married 3 times, 10 times, it doesn't matter what failures you have had. Whether you killed or you had a very good or bad life, what matters here is whether you were known before the foundation of the world. In religion, no. Religion says, look, that lady married 5 times. She can't belong to our church because she tarnishes our image. That's why when the woman she had, how many husbands did she have? Jesus says to him, hey, tell your husband to come here. And then she tells him, I do not have a husband. And he says, of course, because you've had 7. And the one you have now is not your husband. You are tired of looking for happiness in men. And she says, yes, but I don't qualify for anyone. I am a useless woman. My reputation is destroyed. My mother doesn't speak to me. My uncles don't speak to me. All my cousins have abandoned me. I am here in Samaria because I am not worth a penny. I don't dare look at my uncles, my nephews, or anyone else because I've had 7 husbands. Do you know what it costs a woman to go through a marriage? In other words, she married 7 times. She is a champion. She should have been crowned Queen of Israel. I wish they had done it. Hey! And Jesus Christ goes to her and tells her, look, forget about the 7. You are a daughter of Abraham. You were known to me before the foundation of the world. Come out of that lie, arise. Come with me, you are my assistant here in evangelism. And they went to evangelize all over Jerusalem. Now, does circumcision have an answer for such a woman? They marginalize her, destroy it. A man who has gone through problems is accepted conditionally and from a distance. And then the pastor goes and tells the children, look, so-and-so is in church, but don't talk to him or his wife or children because he is bad. If the son has revelation, he would say, Daddy, aren't you bad too? Here we are all bad. That's why among us there is sincerity. Here there is no duplicity or hypocrisy. When I say to you, I love you, even if I see you drunk next week, I love you. I tell you that I love you, even though that's not right, that you're stealing, doing bad things. But I say that I love you and I will hold it to the end, unconditionally. The true gospel, that of the uncircumcision. If you go to a church where they do not appeal to the identity of your spirit, you will never change. You'll never be truly satisfied because they are dealing with your flesh. But it is the message, the gospel, not the gospel of Jose Luis. I do not have any gospel nor any revelation. What I do is read what is here. If it is not written, I do not speak. Brethren, we are facing the greatest reform that has occurred on the face of the earth, where the church will rise powerfully, where a spiritual government will be formed, where all that papacy, all that religious system is going to fall down. All of that is going to disappear. We are facing the largest movement that we have seen on the face of the earth. And you are part of that movement.